Today on Fresno State Focus, we will talk about how many students have dropped out of college and why.
Also, we share how career fairs benefit you as a student.
Plus, the Collegian newspaper celebrates its 100th birthday. We talk with a news editor about this year's plans. Fresno State Focus starts now. Hello and welcome to Fresno State Focus. I'm Holden Wheeler.
And I'm Brianda Lemus. We're excited to start a new semester and a new season for our student journalists with this newscast.
This may be our first newscast of the semester, but we're halfway through school already. As students keep their focus on classes, many struggle during the first month. Sometimes those struggles force them to make a hard decision, like dropping out of school. Jocelyn Clark tells us how many students have left Fresno State since August and what the reasons are.
This is a common sight. Focused students heading to class. What is not easy to see is the hard time some of these students go through. Fresno State lost about 160 students in the first 4 weeks of school.
Last year, we had about 90 students who had dropped from the first day of classes to today. So in comparison, we have roughly 70 more students who have dropped out of the university compared to last fall.
However, there are students like Julian Nguyen, who is part of the Smith Camp Family Honors College. The program is designed to keep students engaged and focused on their degree, even after 2 years of pandemic learning.
They have a hope that once they get back onto campus, they can interact with their cohort, they can interact with their friends, they can interact with the Smith Camp office, faculty.
Nguyen says the idea is to keep students engaged.
We didn't want any scholars to drop out.
But some have. Last year, 2 of Nguyen's friends dropped out as freshmen. They didn't like online learning. However, for other students like Levi Davis, COVID made it easier for them to focus on school.
I decided to come to Fresno State because it was an easier route for me, being close and in the area. A lot of my friends either went to JCs or transferred to bigger universities or just stayed home to work. So yeah, I made a lot of new friends since I've been here, and it's been a fun time.
Even though Nguyen and Davis are still focusing in school and are preparing to graduate next year, they are not surprised students are dropping out of Fresno State. At Fresno State, Jocelyn Clark, Fresno State Focus.
Jocelyn told us that 160 students dropped out of Fresno State this semester. This is less than the spring of 2020 when the pandemic hit and 234 students dropped out.
The Linda and Stewart Resnick Student Union is now open, thanks to past graduates who approved this building and allowed the next generation of students to enjoy it. If you haven't checked it out, Mariah Mendoza shows us what you can expect to see at the RSU.
Students have spoken. They want more options on campus to relax and study in between classes. Amy Ellen breaks down the layout for us at the RSU.
So the RSU has a lot of additional lounge space and spaces for students to come in, gather informally, study, meet with friends, maybe work on group projects. So there's a lot of lounge space on both the first floor and the second floor. There's actually outdoor space for lounging on the outdoor terrace. And then we also have 11 conference rooms that can be used for clubs and organizations. They're reservable for regular meetings.
Next semester, you can expect to see new food options in the RSU.
We'll have the Habit Burger. Taco Bell will move over and it'll be a full-size Taco Bell, so I know everyone's excited about that.
The grand staircase will be used for all kinds of events.
So the first thing I really like about the student union, you're gonna have this little movie theater inside the first floor where they bring the a screen, a white screen down, and you can watch. But that's really cool.
For those of you who might be wondering what happened to the amphitheater, don't worry, Bulldogs. We have the Leon S. Peter Event Plaza that will play tribute to the amphitheater itself and the history behind it. I asked student and employee Rhythm what she likes about the RSU.
I'm actually glad that there's like a lot of open space and like the food. That's what I'm looking most forward to for next semester.
Mariah Mendoza, Fresno State Focus.
The RSU is now open Monday through Thursday from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. On Fridays, it closes at 8. Feel free to check it out for yourself or ask for a tour. Figuring out what you want to do with your major can sometimes be a challenge. Fresno State hosts multiple career fairs for students searching for a job or internship throughout the semester. Last week, there was a 3-day event that brought companies from all over the valley straight to our students.
We have a lot of support. Fresno State has a lot of sponsors, and what's nice about it is that all of our sponsors come from alumni. I figure that alumni, once they have instilled their education here, they develop a kinship for the community of Fresno State's campus, and they always want to come back.
Alumni who attend these career fairs not only found a career that led them to success, but are willing to share their experience with you. For more information on the next career fair, you can follow the Career Development Center on Instagram or check them out at the Student Affairs website.
The Collegian is celebrating 100 years. The student-run newspaper publishes every Tuesday during the school year. When school is not in session, the Collegian still updates its website regularly, covering all things Fresno State and in the surrounding communities. The student reporters are proud to be a part of the big birthday celebration.
I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to even work here within the centennial year and push out stories about what we've done and help people just remember that student-run news organizations are really important.
You can pick up one of the many centennial editions in the many newspaper stands around campus. They'll be the ones with Collegian written in big lettering on the side. News editor Manuel Hernandez is here with us now. Thank you for taking the time to join us, Manuel. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for meeting.
Yeah. And I understand that your position, as I just said, is a news editor with the Collegian. Now, what does that generally entail in your day-to-day activities?
So as a news editor, not only do we write some of the longer-term investigative reporting that we do, but we also manage a wide variety of reporters that do similar to Fresno State Focus, where they report different sections. And so we also take in the stories they give us, we edit it, and we sort of help them out with their writing ability and journalistic ability for future potential careers.
Of your day-to-day duties, would you say you have a favorite? Maybe you have a favorite thing to cover when you're doing deeper investigative journalism. What would you say that is?
Oh yeah, for sure. When you get those stories, you can see physical impacts later on. When I first started, it wasn't news, it was actually sports reporting. And as a sports editor, one of the biggest stories I did was covering a rugby team who had, insufficient funds and were practicing in fields where their cars were getting broken into. And once I released that story, changes happened and you were able to see what journalism could really do, and they were able to perform and practice here on campus now instead of going to other fields. So being able to see those physical changes, I believe, is sort of what are my favorite stories to cover.
So you basically applied your investigative journalistic skills a little bit to sports and provided change. Yeah. The Collegian, obviously, in 100th year right now. Started in 1922, as I see you're repping the shirt. Keep it at 100 since 1922. I respect that. Is there anything that you guys are doing differently in the 100th year?
I think everything is just adapting with the times. February 8th, 1922 was the first ever publication, and not only was there no internet, it was all newspapers, it was a daily publication. There are different sections, like they even had like a comedy section, they had a cartoon section, some of the things you don't see in this time now. So what we're definitely doing different now than beforehand is focusing more on utilizing technology with our websites, with our photography, and adding more multimedia stories that expand what people could do beyond a newspaper.
Thank you, Manuel, very much for coming in, and thank you for giving us an inside look at the inner workings of the Collegian. Coming up on Fresno State Focus, we talk about the importance of farm workers in the ag capital of the world. Also, we discuss the air quality here in the valley, its effects on the people, and ways to decrease pollution.
got the bulldog spirit up in my head.
Up in my head.
Up in my head.
I got that bulldog spirit. Up in my head. Up in my head to stay. I got that bulldog spirit. Deep in my heart. Deep in my heart. Deep in my heart. Got that bulldog spirit. Deep in my heart. Deep in my heart to stay. I got that bulldog spirit. Down in my toes. Down in my toes. Down in my toes. I got that bulldog spirit. Down in my toes. Hey. Down in my toes to stay. I got that bulldog spirit. Up in my head. Deep in my heart. Down in my toes. I got that bulldog spirit. All over me. All over me to stay. I got that bulldog spirit.
Deep in my heart.
Deep in my heart. Deep in my heart. I got that bulldog spirit.
From Fresno to Bakersfield, the San Joaquin Valley is the heart of agriculture. Let me show you the importance of appreciating our farm workers every day. Teresa Ceballos began working in the fields at 17 years old. 26 years later, she is now part of the quality control team for AC Foods.
Desde que los siembras,
Since you plant a seed, there's a purpose for a fruit to be grown.
Working through the sun, wind, and sometimes even rain, farm workers are helping feed our country every day.
That's why we're called the breadbasket of the world, because we produce so much of the food products for the whole world, the nation.
Crystal Sandoval is a senior at Fresno State. Her major is plant science.
My plan is to become a pest control advisor, PCA. So basically it's like a plant doctor. I study like all the trees, I study the insects within the trees, and then I would go to the orchard and tell like the farmer, oh, this bug is what's eating your tree, it's causing this disease. You can either spray this, or if you want to be organic, you can use other methods like this and this.
Working in the fields isn't everyone's first choice. For most of our ancestors, they didn't have a choice. It was a job that provided for the family.
There's so many things that can hold back the farm workers, like for one, being immigrants, not having papers, so they don't get good pay like other jobs.
Despite the difficulties, there are also many beautiful things about working in agriculture.
You work at your own rhythm. You meet so many people than an office job. You travel up and down the valley. One day you're in one city, and then the next day you're in another. So it's nice, and also a good barbecue tastes better in the field. It's rewarding knowing people are eating what we pick. It makes you appreciate the food you have in front of you.
The United Farm Workers Organization has been working on passing a bill that allows farm workers to form a union. As a result, the UFW efforts last month, Governor Newsom assigned AB 2183 into law. Joining me today, I have Professor Mark Kepler, who teaches public policy and public affairs here at Fresno State. Thank you again for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So we do know California is the breadbasket of the world in agriculture. Why do you think it's important for people to know what this bill is about?
Well, it's a seminal change in kind of the wages and working conditions of farm workers. Many years ago, there were quite a few people involved with the United Farm Workers, but recently it's less than 1% of farm workers are actually organized into a union, and they're thinking this may change that pretty radically.
Yeah, there is a lot of farm workers here in our valley. Why do you think it's important for them to specifically know about this?
Well, I mean, what research generally shows is that the best way, the quickest way to improve wages and working conditions is if you do it collectively. If you go to your boss individually, you're probably not as powerful as if you go as a group. And what research generally shows is that when you go as a group, you have a much better chance of having better wages, better working conditions. Therefore, people like to form unions. But by the way, just because you form a union doesn't mean you're going to have a contract. That's a second issue. So a lot of people are getting caught up in the fact that this is going to make it easier for workers to organize. Well, that's just the first step. Once they sit at the bargaining table, the employer doesn't have to agree to anything. And so you have to actually negotiate a contract for the rights really to kick in.
Mm-hmm. As a part of Fresno State and the community, what is your opinion or standpoint on this bill?
Okay, well, I'm head of the Maddie Institute for Public Affairs, and we don't take positions on bills. But what I generally try to do is try to explain the bills. And so this is kind of interesting. There's two sides of this issue. On the one hand, the unions like it because they think it's going to be easier for workers to organize through this thing called card check. It's just to sign a card as opposed to actually going somewhere and voting in an election for a union. Employers don't like it because they think it's unfair, it's taking away the right to a secret ballot election. The reality is it's probably going to make it easier for farm workers to organize, but again, that's a separate question as to whether or not they're actually be able to negotiate a contract that's going to actually improve their wages and working conditions.
Perfect. Thank you so much again, Professor, for your time.
Sure.
And helping us just learning about this. Holden, back to you.
The big Fresno Fair is in its final week. It brings the farm to the city and so much more. Let's go live to Jared Hickman at the big Fresno Fair to see what he and our crew member, Alyssa Sandoval, are up to.
Thanks, guys. Jared Hickman here, live at the Fresno Fair in this late afternoon. A little bit hot. I'm with Dane Baldwin from Fresno County Cinnamon Rolls. Dane, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you, brother?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. So, how is the business of County Fair Cinnamon Rolls?
This year's fair has been very, very good to us. So far, it's been a strong start. We're just over halfway through, and we're looking for a big finish.
And I've heard you traveled all over the country to different fairs. What's the experience like traveling to all the different fairs and selling all your cinnamon rolls?
You know what? The best way to explain it is it's not what you sell, it's the lifestyle. You know, being on the road constantly all summer long, a lot of the springtime. It's challenging, but it's also fun because your environment changes all the time. You know, you're not just in one place for 365. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Okay.
And I've been told that your cinnamon rolls are one of the best. What is it like knowing that people come here and buy and eat your cinnamon rolls? Like, how come they're so popular?
Well, you know what? We've been in business since 1978. We have done several hundreds of events annually in Fresno County alone and in the Central Valley. So this is where we're from. We take a lot of pride in being from here. Everywhere we go, we represent the Central Valley, we think. And just coming back home here, it's just been really nice.
That's good to hear. And I might want to try one of your cinnamon rolls before I leave here today.
Oh, absolutely. Where have you been? You've never had one?
I've been here in the last 10 years, so it's good to be back up.
We can make that happen.
I love that a lot. Dane, thank you for your time.
Hey, no worries. I appreciate it. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
All day, every day.
Live from the Fresno Fair, Big Fresno Fair, Jared Hickman, Fresno State Focus. Back to you guys.
First off, Jared, I couldn't agree more. Go Dogs. Secondly, watching you guys talk about cinnamon rolls, I'm not even a huge sweet person, but now I want some.
I'm going for the fried Oreos for sure. I cannot go to a fair and not get fried Oreos. That's my little sweet treat.
The air may look pretty good out there today, but the American Lung Association recently ranked the San Joaquin Valley as having the worst air quality in the U.S. Miranda Adams shows us why.
The sky may look blue and beautiful, but it's obscuring one key feature.
Now I'm looking at the Sierra Nevada and really can't see much.
That's not unusual for Fresno, which sits at the crossroads of two major freeways and sees emissions from factories, cars, and planes on the daily. While urban life definitely contributes to the valley's air pollution, agriculture also plays a major role. Introducing chemicals in the form of pesticides, stirring up dust from tilling the soil, and contributing to smog via the excess of nitrogen-based fertilizers. Cows are an even greater contributor, their gas alone accounting for 10% of greenhouse gas emissions worldwide. The topography of the valley also has a lot to do with it. The valley is surrounded by mountains on all sides, leaving a bowl-like recession that traps the dirty air. This means wildfire smoke from out of the area likes to settle here.
I was here during the creek fire too, and the creek fire was pretty bad. So I had ash on my car for that.
While the average Joe may not be able to move mountains, one can still take steps to help reduce regional air pollution.
Literally, walking instead of driving is one simple way to improve air quality.
Opting for the non-aerosol versions of your favorite brands is also a great option.
Or you could skip the meat one day a week.
These small changes can help keep you breathing clearly, something that doesn't always come so naturally in the valley.
I've been outside of the valley to experience, what people would consider cleaner air, and then, it's that time of coming back and returning where you go, oh, wow, I'm coughing, I'm congested, why can't I breathe? Oh, that's right, air quality.
In Fresno, Miranda Adams, Fresno State Focus.
Although air pollution may not always be visible or have a smell, the bad air quality can lead to lung disease, heart disease, and cancer. So try to limit outdoor activity when air quality is poor. Miranda will have your weather and air quality forecast in a few minutes.
There is always a place to celebrate peace here on the Fresno State campus. The Peace Garden to the north of the library played host to Candide's birthday last week. Fresno State president and community came together to celebrate. During the event, an important message was shared. Stop the violence, stop the hate, and build a culture of peace. The culture here at Fresno State is diverse. President Saul Jimenez Sandoval said there are more than 71 international cultures here. As far for a place of peace, this garden has existed for more than 33 years. Finding more peace, respect, and common grounds is the goal of the university. President Jimenez Sandoval, the university is still in healing from a Title IX scandal involving a former vice president of student affairs. As a result, there is now a new Discrimination and Harassment and Retaliation office. The announcement was made in an email that listening sessions will be held for students, faculty, and staff, giving them a place to share their experience of discrimination or harassment. Sessions are scheduled for tomorrow and Monday, also November 9th and 15th. For more information, contact the DHR office in the Doyle Administration Building 211. Coming up, we'll tell you more about the new homecoming event you won't want to miss.
Plus, we'll explain what the new campaign For the V means to Fresno State and the surrounding communities.
It's homecoming week, and you know what that means. Temperatures are finally starting to cool down. Stay tuned to find out when you'll need to start grabbing your jacket before heading out to that 8 a.m. class.
I got the bulldog spirit up in my head.
Up in my head.
Up in my head.
I got that bulldog spirit. Up in my head. Up in my head to stay. I got that bulldog spirit. Deep in my heart. Deep in my heart. Deep in my heart. Got that bulldog spirit. Deep in my heart. Deep in my heart to stay. I got that bulldog spirit. Down in my toes. Down in my toes. Down in my toes. I got that bulldog spirit. Down in my toes. Hey. Down in my toes to stay. I got that bulldog spirit. Up in my head. Deep in my heart. Down in my toes. I got that bulldog spirit. All over me. All over me to stay. I got that bulldog spirit.
Deep in my heart.
Deep in my heart. Deep in my heart. I got that bulldog spirit.
Welcome back. I'm Miranda Adams with Fresno State Focus Weather. This right here is a view from the third floor of the new Resnick Student Union, and as you can see, it's a beautiful day outside. But if we look at the national satellite, we'll see that's not the case all over the country. We have some major storms moving northeast up through the Midwest and the South, and if we take a look at California, it does look like we have some activity going on here. So let's zoom into there. And yes, we do see some scattered showers in Los Angeles and the Channel Islands, but the rest of the state does look pretty dry and sunny. That sunshine is going to bring with it temperatures in the low 90s and high 80s across the valley, with Fresno and Merced sitting at 90 right now. Temperatures are going to drop into the 50s across the entire valley tonight. Fresno, Coalinga, and Porterville a little warmer at 59. And Shaver Lake a cool 49. So let's take a look at the air quality. The North Valley has great air quality today. Fresno, as you can see, is in the orange, which means that's poor. So try to limit your outdoor activity if at all possible. And heading into next week, we're going to see cooler temperatures, 83 by Sunday. It's going to warm up a bit on Tuesday. But for homecoming week, homecoming day on Saturday, it's going to be a nice 89 and sunny. This is Miranda Adams, and that was your Focus on Weather.
Okay, it's homecoming week. Our football team is hosting San Jose State this weekend, and if you want to get into the stadium, you need a ticket. Students can get their tickets for football at the Bulldog Ticket Office.
It's in the northeast corner of the Save Mart Center. You will need your ID and a form of payment. You can also buy tickets online at gobulldogs.avenue.net.
So what I do is I look online at Fresno State Athletics, or I go to the ticket office over there, either at the Save Mart Center or near the football stadium.
If you don't have your tickets for the homecoming game, there's still time. If you want to buy them on game day, they will be sold at the south entrance of the stadium before and during the game. By the way, the Bulldogs are going into this game 1-4. San Jose State is 4-1. And at this point, quarterback Jake Hayner is still considered week to week because of his ankle injury. Everyone knows that the
Anthony Holland. He feels a lot of pressure to perform well on the basketball court.
Everyone knows that the boldest way to show Fresno State pride is through athletics and attending games, no matter the stats. With the new campaign for the V, the athletic department is giving recognition and pride back to the people of the Valley, as Sydney Morgan shows us.
Meet Anthony Holland. He feels a lot of pressure to perform well on the basketball court.
You want to represent the community the best they can because there's a lot of great people in this community and you don't want to misrepresent them and get the treatment they deserve by working hard.
Holland is the forward guard for the men's basketball team. He says he feels the pressure as a result of the new For the V campaign. This campaign launched in July. Its goal? To give back to the community that gives athletics endless support.
Through a social media presence, Fresno State has been able to create a family where people post things and use the hashtags like Valley Tough, Valley Pride, Bulldog Born, Bulldog Bred, Pride of the Valley, or Go Dogs. And with these posts, it does highlight athletics. But this year's For the V hashtag concentrates more on the supporters and the people that make up the Valley.
Fresno is known as a melting pot. So this campaign makes sure to incorporate diversity of people and cultures.
The hard part is, who do we represent? It's everybody. And you have to try to figure out how to include everybody. And it's not just one group or one type of people that you represent because the Central Valley is so diverse.
The motto, Bulldog Born, Bulldog Bred, isn't just a saying. It's a lifestyle here in the Valley. 80 to 90% of the students have grown up here and stay after graduation.
You're truly representing this valley. They're from here, they come to school here, they go on to become our teachers, our nurses, our doctors, our police and fire. You know what I mean? They truly are moving this valley forward.
Give yourselves a pat on the back. It's because of fan and community support that Fresno State has been able to be so successful. Sydney Morgan, Fresno State Focus.
Mark your calendars. Saturday is game day. The homecoming game kicks off at 7:45. This game is extremely special as they are retiring alumni Devontae Adams' jersey, who recently signed with the Las Vegas Raiders.
If interested in attending other athletic games during homecoming week, you can use the Fresno State Bulldogs app. Homecoming is celebrated all week long, and it is jam-packed week to night. There will be an outdoor movie inside Valley Children's Stadium. They are showing Thor, Love and Thunder. Gates open at 5 p.m. tomorrow. There will be a silent disco inside the new RSU building at 7 p.m.
A fall festival and plant sale will be at the Gibson Market Saturday 8 a.m. to 3. But there are tons more things happening around campus. You can check out Fresno State homecoming page for the full list.
Students can get their tickets.
For football at the Bulldog ticket office, the office is located at the northeast corner of the Save Mart Center. Are you going to homecoming?
Yeah, I'm actually going to the movie tonight. Gonna see what it's about. I haven't seen the movie.
I'm going to my first Fresno State game.
Really?
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next week.